And so I called this 1-800 number, and this was like the first God shot of my sobriety. And his call center was down. So it goes to his cell phone, and he picks up. And I'm like snot crying in the phone. I'm like, oh, I heard Bob Marriott on a podcast. And he's like, yo, chill out. Like, this is Bob. Like, tell me what's going on. We talk for about an hour, and he doesn't take a single cent from me. And he's like, you need to call this dude in California, Chris Howard, who owns Ethos Sober Living. Your problem, because I told him, I remember this was the first sobering moment where I was like, holy shit, people can talk to you like this in recovery. But I was like, Bob, my problem is I can get 3 or 4 months sober, but then I always go back. And he goes, shut the fuck up. You've never drawn a sober breath in your life. You know how to be abstinent. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, oh shit, I have never been sober. And at the time, I didn't know about the difference between physical sobriety and emotional sobriety and all these different concepts. But it woke me up because I'm like, this dude's supposed to be a treatment professional. He's
not supposed to talk to you
like that. Yeah, right? Like, what the fuck? Like, even though I'm not paying him for any of this, he's just like giving me some knowledge, you know? And I was like, I want what that dude has. Like, that's some real fucking recovery, you know?
Welcome back to the Hopeaholics podcast. I'm your girl, Natalie Eva Marie.
And I'm Chad Carlson, and you're listening to the #1 addiction and mental health podcast.
And you guys, if you or a loved one is struggling, make sure you head to askevamarie.com or chaddick.com and chat with one of our AI companions 24/7.
Or text the number right here on the screen.
Together, we are breaking the stigma around addiction and mental health.
And fighting the fentanyl epidemic.
Now, let's get into the episode.
Wolfpack stuff online. Those backpacks are sick.
I know, my brother hit me up, of course. Who do you think?
Can I get a free one?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, like, what do you do for me?
It's like, here's the promo code. You know?
Right. But, you know, it's cool. I don't know which one he wants. I told him to send me, and I'll see what I could do, but fuck. I'm just like, you know which one it is, too.
Which one? I don't. The Dark Knight? What does he want?
No. You know which
brother. Which brother?
Yes.
The Arizona brother.
Yep. I fucked up and forgot.
Oh, hey, we're rolling. Where the fuck
we're
you going?
Live?
I messed up. I need to get a
Jesus.
So I can put my phone on.
Okay.
Because I forgot my computer. Oh,
Should we?
Wow. Okay.
Should we start this podcast, or what's going on here?
Yeah, we can.
Man, I used to drink.
You don't look like a Jonathan.
I don't. I go by John. Maybe that's what it is. But what do I look like if I'm not a Jonathan? Curious.
I'm going to call you something else.
She's got issues with Jonathan right now.
It's my ex-husband's name.
Ah, got it.
We're live and rolling for 1 minute. So John,
yes.
Welcome to the Hopeaholics podcast.
Yes.
What are you doing? Filming yourself?
No.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. I'm stoked.
Nice.
You guys can also call me Nettles too. It's like I have one of those,
like that.
I have one of those last names where like it's been unavoidable since middle school football where they're like, oh, this is just Nettles. And so that's just kind of stuck.
Pretty cool last name.
Nettles works for me.
I actually like Nettles.
We can do Nettles.
Okay.
It was my DJ name too, so it just kind of
DJ Nettles.
I really leaned into it, you know.
Wait, there's so much to dive into. I don't even know where I want to start. But
oh, I see what you're doing. You forgot your computer, so you
got the prop up for the phone.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what the hell.
Oh yeah. So I compromised because I have everything about Nettles on here.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's go, Nettles.
Where do we want to begin? Because I'm very fascinated with the DJ life.
Okay.
However, I guess let's start where were you born and raised?
So I was born in Richmond, Virginia, and adopted when I was 4 days old. So in a closed adoption. So I spent the first few years of my life in Boston, but my family relocated to St. Louis, which is where my dad's from. So like I was raised in St. Louis from like the age of 2 and lived there until I was like 22. So
oh, no way.
Where I did most of my like beginning of the running and gunning, and you know, went to the same like school for pretty much from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. So I had like really, really strong roots there.
Okay. So with I don't know what's correct to, or like.
Yeah, no, lay it out. Like you don't have to be politically correct.
Well, it's just because I never know, because I am sensitive for people that are adopted.
Of course.
And with a closed adoption, does that mean that you can't find who your parents are?
So
Or biological,
we can get right into that. So I ended up finding my biological parents, but through ancestry.com, not in like the traditional method. So typically with a closed adoption is you can request your records like after you're 18 years old. But back in the 90s, none of this stuff was uploaded like to the internet. So there was an adoption agency in Florida. They shut down for like shady practices. So all my records, like we couldn't track them down because I wanted to when I was 18 to find my birth parents. So in my mid 20s, I didn't even really, I was like in the middle of addiction. So it didn't really cross my mind to like find my birth family, but I wanted to figure out what type of ancestry I had, like what type of European mutt I was really. But I did that. And about 6 months later, I got a phone call from my like business manager for the DJ stuff. He's like, dude, are you sitting down? And I was like, yeah. And I was like loaded to the gills. And he's like, your birth mom just found you through your DJ page. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like crippled by fear. I mean, I was in the middle, like in the worst part of my addiction. I was drinking a fifth a day. I was probably doing an 8-ball a day. And the moment I had like waited my whole life for, like I couldn't even talk to her for like the first month on the phone. I was like crippled by fear.
Wow.
And my adoptive dad, who I just call my dad, like I had him kind of talk with her first, and then we started texting, and now we have a beautiful relationship today.
No
So
way.
yeah, she actually watched my dog when I came to treatment this time. Like that was the one thing. I'm like, I'm not getting rid of this dog, you know?
Yeah.
And I drove him out to Virginia, and she watched him for 6 months. She's like been a huge... She's never really tried to be my mom. Like she's supportive in that way. Like if I need motherly advice, she's there. But she's been like my friend, which I think was the best possible way for us to develop a relationship. And I actually got to go and meet my half brother and spent Thanksgiving with them last year. It was really fucking cool.
Oh my gosh, that's so wild.
Yeah, it's like one of the good stories. Most people, I feel like if they find their adoptive parents, like I had those thoughts like, is she a drug addict? Is she dead? Like, does she not want to meet me? And the story with my birth father, he's like not a good dude, like womanizer. I like messaged him on Facebook to try and talk with him, and he just like blocked me instantly, which was crazy. And I mean, I was in addiction, so I left him like a gnarly fucking voicemail when I found his phone number. But like, it went as good as it could have, right? And now I have, you know, I get to... Going back to Richmond, Virginia for the first time back in November was cool. I got to see the hospital I was born at. And it's like these things you don't really, you kind of take it for granted when you're a kid, but when you're older and you get to kind of go back to the beginning and really see what your life would have looked like, it was a beautiful experience.
Wow, that's wild. So are your adopted parents, which are, I'm sure you call them mom and dad.
Yeah.
Are they still married? Are they still together?
Yeah, they're still together. They live in St. Louis. I go back a few times a year. I'm actually about to go back to help my dad with like a hip replacement surgery, which is like one of the gifts of sobriety. We get to insert ourselves in our parents' lives to help them with stuff where they're like, I don't need your help.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, they're still happily married, live in the same house. And yeah, they live a really cool life too. They're both like pretty much retired. My mom has like a fun job, and my dad's retired and kayaks all the time.
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
like his thing.
Either one of them have the disease?
Oh yeah, so I was genetically fucked. So my birth father is one of us, and then also my adopted dad is an alcoholic who's in recovery. He went to treatment and got sober when I always get the timeline messed up, but when I was like 13 or 14, right around that age, he got sober and has been sober ever since. And it was actually like right when video phones became a thing. Like we remember razors back in the day. You could only take pictures for the longest time. Well, my dad would drink himself like kind of into passing out, like in front of the fireplace. And I would tell him the next day, and he would be like, I didn't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. He wouldn't remember. He'd black out. So I took a video of him, and it was the first time I ever saw my dad cry in my life. And I showed him the video, and he was on a plane to treatment that night and hasn't drank since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's like my best friend today. We were talking on the way over here, and it's like I always talk with him. I'm like, what are you comfortable with me sharing on the podcast? And with him being in recovery and seeing how many people through my own podcast and me posting on social media that have reached out for help, he's like, dude, like none of it's a lie. Like tell it all. If it helps somebody, go for it.
That's
you know?
awesome.
Yeah.
That is like so beautiful. I wonder, it is interesting though, because when I got sober, it was like I thank God. But then I wonder if it would make that much of a difference on my heart or something, or to change if I saw a video of myself looking cray. Right? I don't know.
Do you not have any videos of you in
any-
addiction? Or?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't have. I have like maybe some photos, But nothing like where now we have, like, we're always filming or photos of ourselves because, like, social media era has, like, kaboomed.
Yeah, but like I was, I only got sober 9 years ago, so there was video phones, but there's no way in hell would I have videoed myself. And if I did, it would have been deleted immediately. And number two, I would never let anybody video me.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
I have some, and I'm mortified by them to this day.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not only do I have a bunch of videos of me like DJing with like a handle of whiskey, and I'm just coked out of my mind, and it's hard to like look at because you can see it. I'm sure you guys, you see somebody loaded, even if they're trying to hide it, be like, no, I'm not using. You can tell.
Man,
it's like
sometimes
the real
I could just be
real.
walking through a grocery store and be like, that lady's on benzodiazepines. I start to feel bad for some people because I'm like, half of them, especially like the ones like the pills, they don't even think they're an addict.
No,
they
not at
don't
all.
even have a clue because their doctor prescribed, and they're probably legitimately getting them from their doctor.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing with even benzos too. I mean, I was on like prescribed I got prescribed Xanax by the first treatment program I ever went to. They threw me on it, and I was on it for like 15 years. Yeah, when I was 16. And I thought that I was just taking my meds, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I have anxiety, and then I stopped taking them, and my anxiety went away.
Wait, I want to go back though, because you said your first time in treatment was when you were 16 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
So you got adopted. Now, are you the only child in your family, or do you have other siblings?
I was for 5 years, and then we adopted. I don't really understand adoption growing up. You know, they like tell you about it, but you're like, oh, did I get dropped off by a stork? Like, I don't know what that means, you know?
Yeah.
And when I was 5 years old, we adopted my brother, and it was very apparent that we had different parents. He's from the Dominican, so he's half black.
Okay.
And I started to get some shit at school from it. Like I grew up in like not rural Missouri, but out in the county. So it was like very different for people to not have, friends who look like their parents. And so that's when I started to understand what adoption was. And my brother's a sweet kid. He's also one of us too. He's got a few years sober now.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, that's where I started to understand that I'm different than people. And I kind of like rode that. You hear it all the time. Like, it kept me separate from everybody else. Like, you don't understand what I'm going through. And I started to kind of have a crisis when I was like probably 12, 13, when I started really using heavy,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was your first?
So like my first drink was like a warm Budweiser out in the woods that we like lifted out of somebody's like garage fridge, and we were like smoking Marlboro Reds, and I hated the taste, but I felt cool as shit. And I didn't like start drinking every day after that. Access is tough when you're like 12 years old.
Totally.
But the first time I really started like using every day was I started smoking weed when I was 13. And we like stole a bunch of metal, like different pieces from Home Depot and made this pipe and like went out into the woods, and me and a bunch of my friends smoked. And I remember I hated the way that I felt. Like, I was super anxious. My dad was about to pick me up in an hour. I'm like, I'm so fucked. But I just wanted to do it every day. Like, I think at the time I didn't like how I felt. My dad was like really at the tail end of his addiction. Things at home weren't perfect. And it was like anything for a head change, right? I always tell people, like, my first addiction was attention. Like, that got me outside of myself. Like, whether it was being controversial, the kid who talked the most in class. Like, I had that thing. I had the ism early on. But yeah, I started smoking weed pretty much every single day. The first time I got like drunk and had that aha moment, I was 15 years old, and I went to University of Missouri for a frat party. My buddy's brother was in a fraternity there, and we like drove down there, and we're talking about how drunk we're gonna get. And I got a whole bottle of peach burnett's to myself, drank the whole thing, passed out my own puke, woke up the next day and was like, I want to do that every day for the rest of my life. Like, I was like kind of a chubby kid in high school, and I felt so cool, and like I was 10 feet tall, and like I was like, those college girls really wanted me. Like, I was so fucking delusional, but it gave me that confidence. And then, I mean, it's high school, so it started off with like drinking on the weekends, blacking out, like normal shit for high school kids, right? And then slowly but surely, I'm bringing vodka to school. Like, I had a buddy who he had an older brother who would buy him booze, and I would bring 2 Powerades, and he would bring a bottle, like a water bottle full of vodka, and we would drink at school. That, kind of ramped up to pills, and then that's what landed me in my first treatment program. Was my parents found a bunch of like hydrocodones in my room, And they were like, what the fuck is going on, when I was 16. So they sent me to an adolescent treatment program that was an outpatient, but you can't leave. So you go during the day, you do your schoolwork for like a 2-hour block period, do a few substance abuse classes, and then your parents pick you up. But all that treatment program did for me was surround me with other kids who were using the way I was using. There wasn't like any aftercare once I got out of there. I went there for like 2 weeks, and then it was like, boom. And I'm just hanging out with these kids and getting loaded. And they diagnosed me with generalized anxiety disorder and insomnia. Gave me an Ambien prescription and a Xanax prescription at 16. And so I was like off to the races. I had a legal speedball. I was on ADHD meds for, I was on Adderall 30 XRs. I was getting, a bottle of peach Xanax a month. Like, I was off to the fucking races. I had a legal speedball. And that's really where shit started to get dark.
Really? Mm-hmm. That is so wild. Especially, I'm like shocked about a treatment facility. Especially with kids so young.
But do you know what year was that?
It was like, so I graduated in 2012, so probably 2010 was when I went in. Yeah.
2010.
Like,
we knew better in 2010.
Well, what they did was, so because this treatment center was through a local hospital, right? It was like a behavioral health
unit. Which is even worse.
Yeah, but then what they did was they referred me to a psychiatrist. They're like, we think you have these things. Go see this guy. And this doctor barely spoke any English. He met with me for 10 minutes, wrote me 2 scripts, and kicked me out the door. So it wasn't like I really got a solid assessment of what was going on. They didn't recommend therapy. It was like, go to the psychiatrist. And that kind of started the narrative for me that, like, if I don't like the way that I feel, there's a medication. Yeah, I can take something, right? Or that I'm broken, there's something wrong with me, and I need to be on this medication to be normal. And yeah, that from there, I mean, I started selling weed. I was smoking weed every single day. I'm skipping fucking class. I'm stealing my brother's like new games from GameStop and selling them back to them in the same packaging, and then telling my mom he must have lost it to get like. It was people always talk about weed not being addictive, but like I would do whatever it took to get a half-eighth of fucking weed. Like, it was gnarly from early on. And then I did coke for the first time when I was 15 too. And it's kind of a funny story. Like, I was at my weed dealer's house, and there was this like cool kid sitting on one of his bunk beds. And I remember that guy, like, he had a hot girlfriend, and I'm like, everybody wanted to be like him, you know? And he looks over at me, and we had known each other for years. And he's like, hey, man, like, do you want to try this? And I was like, sure. He's like, just letting you know that once you start it, this is the only drug you'll be addicted to for the rest of your life. And boy, was he fucking right. It was like writing on the wall, you know? And I did that. And obviously I didn't have, like, grams were like $60 at the time. I didn't have that money in high school. So I would do it like when I could. But yeah, I mean, I just started, I didn't have that fear most kids do of drugs. Like, if you had it, I wanted to try it. I also wanted to be a part of. So it's like, if I'm hanging around these kids that are doing gnarly shit, like, I want to do gnarly shit too. And I was like into skateboarding, and then like the Jackass Viva La Bam shit was big at the time. And it just like all made sense, right? It was like kind of being a rebel. But I grew up like playing sports. So I like had this split personality where I'm friends with all the jocks. I'm like friends with everybody in high school. They're buying weed off me for the weekends. I had a fake ID. So I'm like supplying the football team with their beer for the weekend. But I'm like going into the bathroom and like snorting Oxy 30s by the time I'm a fucking senior. And I ended up missing so much school because I would just like be out selling drugs, or I would say that I had too much anxiety to go to school. So I just wouldn't show up. And my principal came to me my senior year. He's like, you either got to be a super senior or do this program where you go off site and you can graduate 2 months early. You have to do your classes online. So of course I took that. And that kind of was like the nail in the coffin for me being a normal kid. Like, no college after that. All my friends go off to college. I just stayed back, started selling drugs even heavier. Like, at this point, I'm starting to sell pills. I'm starting to sell coke. And I was just like kind of the one-stop shop, right? Like, if any of my friends wanted something, I knew somebody who could get it. And I was like the ultimate middleman. And that became my identity. It was like the kid who brought the party, you know? And then I started DJing pretty quickly after that. And that just like got me around a bunch of lesser companions who were like using drugs the same way I was. And it also gave me like a venue to use drugs in, because my parents weren't cool with that shit. My dad's sober at this point, so I can't like smoke weed in the house. Or it was pretty gnarly, and my life just like kind of took off from there, you know? And
how you were probably what, 18-ish?
Yeah, 18. So like summer before college, like my friends they go off to college, and I stayed back. And that summer before, I went to like 3 music festivals. And that was like, I was like, these are my fucking people.
Yeah.
I could take acid. I could take 10 hits acid, act like a fool for 3 days. Nobody gives a fuck. It's almost encouraged. And I got addicted to that. Like I got bitten by the EDM bug, and I was just like traveling, doing festivals, and it was pretty sick at the time, to be honest. But I mean, looking back, I was not using drugs responsibly. It was fucking crazy. Yeah.
And at that time, were your parents like, especially because your dad was sober at that time, so I'm sure that he could see you kind of unraveling in this kind of continuous cycle. Did he ever try to will you in, or was he just like, well?
So I landed in my first inpatient after that whole like summer going out to festivals, but he was in an attraction rather than promotion guy, you know? I think he gave me the rope to hang myself for like lack of a better term. And yeah, so it kind of like, I go on this, like, I was also like 220 pounds in high school. Wow. So then I dropped down to like 165 pounds after going on this like crazy run over the summer. And like, my parents like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know? And at this point, OC 30s became like a huge thing. And so I was like coming back, nodding out in front of them, and they were starting to kind of breathe down my neck a bit. And I hit my first like boy cry wolf, where I'm like, Dad, I just feel like I have no purpose. I don't want to kill myself, but I don't want to live. And it freaked him the fuck out. And so he called a program called Sierra Tucson down in Arizona, big, huge program, and sent me there. And at the time, I didn't want to be sober. You know, it's boy crying wolf to get the parents off my back. So at that treatment program, I was just like flirting with girls. I ended up bringing a girl home from treatment, showing up at my parents' house. And my dad's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I've never seen him so disappointed. Sure. And that was a whole mess. And it got them off my back enough. Really, I don't think it got them off my back. I think they were just like, there's nothing we can do.
Right.
Like, he's got to come to this himself. And my mom's like the sweetest lady ever. She's just like, oh, my son's perfect. He's great. And she doesn't use drugs or alcohol. She's stuck with me, my dad, and my brother, who are all alcoholics and addicts. And she's like never even smoked a cigarette in her life. So after that, like, because I remember it was so different back then. Like when I came to treatment this time when I got sober, I was like embarrassed. Like I was beaten into that state of reasonableness. Like I didn't want people to really know. When I was 18, I was like posting the address on Facebook for people to write me and shit. Like I was so delusional. I thought it was like cool that I was going to rehab. And then after when I got back, I remember my friends being like, oh, like, are you going to be sober? And I was just like using as soon as I got back. That girl I brought back from treatment had a tramadol prescription. I had a Xanax prescription. So we were like a match made in heaven, you know? And yeah, the next 10 years of my life are like a giant blur. Like I would do well enough, like get a job to where I was like putting on appearances, or I was like DJing. And I also had this side gig as like a catering manager. And I would do that long enough, and then something would fucking happen, and I would like get beyond scared straight for a little bit. Like a buddy would die, so I'd stop doing pills, but I'm still drinking and doing blow. And I just really like lived a blur for 10 years until I got sober. And the DJing definitely didn't help with that. You know, I was like drinking and partying every night.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure. And like there was this local venue in St. Louis that one of my buddies owned, and I would DJ there like 3 nights a week. And then I got the idea, like, I'm going to be a concert promoter. And we started a promotion company, me and my 2 buddies. And, like, I ran that into the ground because I was, like, worried about where the coke is at. Not like, oh, like, should we pay artists and say, do what we say we're going to do, you know? And it got pretty dark. And then in my early 20s, I hit my first geographic. Like, I was, like, a full-blown coke addict at this point, cokehead. And my best friend who I sold weed with was getting hooked on fentanyl. It was when fentanyl came onto the scene. That's when I stopped with opiates. Like I saw people drop like flies, and I was like, I can't fucking do this. It scared the shit out of me. So I just like went all in on cocaine and booze and, you know, taking psychedelics and shit like that. But we both got this wonderful idea that I need to stop doing blow. You need to stop doing fentanyl. So let's move to Northern California and start growing weed because there's not going to be fentanyl and cocaine in NorCal, you know, on a weed plot.
Sure.
First day we moved out there, I was getting fucking loaded. Went to a bar. Somebody hooked me up with some blow, and I was off to the races again. I spent like 4 years in California. Yeah, just like time traveled.
Wait, what part of North?
I was living in Chico.
Oh, yeah.
So I lived, at first we were staying with this Native American guy on his couch who had like a grow plot in his backyard, who was like one of their buddies. And it was a gnarly situation. Like there's kids in the house. It was pretty crazy. And And then we were like, oh, well, we should get like an apartment and look at like a plot of land. And Chico, we had a buddy from St. Louis who like lived there. We had no idea it was like this crazy party town. And so we go and we visit, and I go out to a show, and I'm like, yeah, we got to move here. So we went back to St. Louis, got all of our shit, and moved to Chico.
Oh my gosh. And so you were there for 4 years, just acting, just running amok.
Yeah. I mean, it was really bad for my addiction, but good for me at the time, because like, my friends back home really cared about me. Like I have this one friend, I was the best man in his wedding. We've been friends since we were in 6th grade. We still talk on the phone every single day, but he's a complete normie. Like he doesn't even really drink or use drugs. And he would always be like, dude, what the fuck's going on with you? Like you need to clean it up. But when I was in Chico, I could hide, you know, like I could call people on the phone and make like phone appearances and seem like I'm doing okay. But I started drinking Fireball like it was water. Like I was, and at first it was like, oh, little 10 airplane bottles a day. Like I'm drinking them before work and shit. And then before I knew it, I was like fully hooked on booze, where I was drinking like a fifth, sometimes even like a handle of liquor a day. And then just a bunch of chaotic shit started happening. I was starting to have like severe depression, severe anxiety. I would have these blackouts where I would like get in my car and drive up the canyon doing 100 miles an hour, calling my friends, screaming on the phone, like seriously dark fucking shit.
Yeah.
But I was able to do it out there like that. And people are like, oh, John's just like living his life. He's growing weed. Like, you know, he's living the dream.
Did you still have your script for the Xanax during all this time?
So when I moved to California, I would buy them off the street because I had to have a dirty doctor at this point. Like, so there was periods like after I got that Xanax script when I was 16, I found a plug. Back at the time, it wasn't hard to find real Xanax bars. So I found this guy who was selling me like the yellow school buses for $1 a pop. And I got up to like doing like 10 of those a day, which is gnarly. And then I kind of tapered myself back down. But when I was in California, it was more like if it was there, I'd buy it. But as soon as I moved back from California to St. Louis, I found a dirty doctor and like got right back on it. So I went through periods where I would like supplement the drugs I really wanted to do with other stuff. So it's like when the Xanax went away, I started drinking a lot more, right? Or even when the pain pills went away, like I'm doubling down and doing more blow. I was like playing my own pharmacist, which is really fucking weird, but you know.
Not really. I feel like that's like
exactly what we do.
Yeah, for sure.
Like trying to pretend to make whatever concoction that's gonna make us feel the best.
Yeah, I mean, it was always like the booze, like alcohol is like my true love. Like, but I can't drink the way I want to drink without blow because I'll get sick, right? I'll get the spins and fucking pass out my own puke. So the Coke became like a tool to drink more. But then at a certain point, like I liked Coke so much that I hated like the edginess it would give me where I just felt on edge all the time. So I needed the booze to level that out. And then the hangovers are too much. So I had to take Xanax the next day. And then it was just this like vicious cycle of doing that all the time. And then if somebody had something else, of course I'd take it. You know?
For sure.
Yeah.
Now during this like span of 10 years, did you have any type of legal consequences that?
Yeah. So I got my first DUI when I was 18. It was actually just for my prescription Xanax and weed. I picked that buddy up that I was telling you about. He's like my best friend. He got picked up for a minor in possession charge of like marijuana on a college campus, and I picked him up from jail, and the same cop who arrested him pulled me over, and it was Halloween night. I think it was Halloween night 2013 or 2012. And he like pulls me over and I'm like, dude, I've had nothing to drink. Like I'm the sober driver. I'm just picking him up from jail. And he thought I was on heroin because it's like 4 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
And we were driving to Steak and Shake to go get a burger. But we were like also rolling up a blunt in the car. It just shows how stupid you are when you're fucking 18.
Yeah.
Picking this dude up from jail and like rolling up. Weed.
Yeah.
But I got arrested. They took my blood, chained me to a gurney, charged me with a DUI, drug intoxication. I went on probation for 2 years then for that. And it was like an unsupervised probation. So I was still using. I never had to drug test or stop. But like they suspended my license. I was driving on a suspended license. Like I just really didn't give a fuck. Like, and to be like pretty honest with you, like I was like a privileged kid. So it's like my parents got me a lawyer. Like they're like, don't ever do that again. And you know, I had so many close calls of like getting arrested with like Coke on me is where it like really got scary. Cause you do some serious time if you get caught with some powder.
Yeah.
And there was times I would be picking up and like, because I would have to pick up in the city and the cops would like flood into a White Castle parking lot when I'm buying from this guy and like chase him out. And it was fucking gnarly, but I never got arrested for that. it wasn't until like my late 20s when I moved back to St. Louis that I started to pick up some more like charges that were like, oh fuck, I need to get sober, you know?
Damn. So what made you, so now you've done your time in Chico, then that was for like 4 years, and then what brings you back to St. Louis?
So COVID was really what like took me down. So I like had this like, I'd say get well job, but just it was more to like make appearances.
Sure.
Like, oh, I'm like doing something because I'm like selling weed and sending it back and forth. But my parents like weren't really cool with that. So like I worked at Staples. I was like an assistant manager at a Staples, which was kind of tight. I got to like drink when I was at work. Like I spent most of the time in the warehouse. But I got into a relationship, and that kind of like went side. My addiction got out of fucking control, where I was drinking like a fifth a day again, almost up to a handle of alcohol. I was doing coke like every day. I went into like a heavy whippets phase where I would just sit in my bedroom. And this was before they had like the little mini Galaxy gases that they have now. So it's like all these like whipped cream chargers, and it was just like not a good scene. And COVID hits, and so I quit that job, and I'm like just kind of selling weed. And I just like, I lost like my will to be out away from my friends and family. The relationship got pretty rocky. Like we were both like emotionally abusive towards each other, I'd say. It just wasn't a good fit. But like us alcoholics do, I'm like, you know, what'll save this relationship is both of us moving back to St. Louis together. And during COVID in NorCal, it was like a hard sell. Like they shut down parks and shit. So like you couldn't even go outside. I was just like stuck in this 1-bedroom apartment in Chico with somebody in a relationship with somebody who it just wasn't healthy. Like we're fighting all the time. And so I decided like I'm going to move back to St. Louis. I think that'll help me clean up. My homie's like, I can get you a sales job selling like home improvements. And so at first, like I kind of wanted to pull the ripcord, go back and like end the relationship, but I didn't really have the gall to do that. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Come with me. And at this point I'm like 265 pounds. I'm like bloated. I'm a big old boy. Like, can't even look in a mirror. Like I'm so delusional that like I still think like I've got it together. And I show back up to St. Louis and I start working that home improvement job, and things got better for like a month or two. But then I was around like the same people, right? Like I'm going to shows again. I'm partying again. Having people over at my townhouse and like doing blow in the basement all night and then showing up to work. And the relationship got rockier and rockier to the point where I had like a really, really nasty, I wouldn't even call it a relapse, but like an event to where I went to Vegas on this bachelor party. I went on like a gnarly 4-day bender. And you want to talk about some videos that are out there of me? They had this like Google Drive folder I found a few weeks ago from this bachelor party. And we had like a suite in the Bellagio, and it was like our hangover moment. And it's me with like huge as fuck, passed out in a fucking chair, like drooling on myself at like 12 in the afternoon. And just like, I look at those pictures now and like, I don't even recognize that person, but I got kicked off the plane coming home from that. Girlfriend was like, fuck you, I'm done with you, you know? And a month later, I was in my buddy's wedding, and I had like sworn off alcohol. I would go through these periods where it's like shit would get really bad, and I would stop drinking for a month, right? I wouldn't drink or do blow, but I'm just taking my prescription Xanax at this point, and I'm smoking weed in my basement, and it was like my version of harm reduction. I just wouldn't go out. Like I would sit in my fucking basement, isolate myself from the world, and be like, okay, I'm sober now.
Right.
And it was miserable, right? Like I had no community, but that was the best I could do. And it was off the tail end of one of those 1 months of not drinking that I would go to this wedding, and I'm like, oh, well, it's a wedding. I gotta have, you know, a few beers with the boys. Like we're about to walk down the aisle. And I completely blew it the fuck up. I got super hammered at the wedding. Afterwards was doing ketamine in front of like a 4-year-old. That was the flower girl. And they were like, what the fuck is wrong with you? We go to this after party for the wedding, and I have a complete emotional breakdown and accuse my girlfriend of sleeping with one of my best friends, which was, I was just in like psychosis. And I freaked the fuck out, and I downed a whole bottle of Xanax. And it was pretty fucking gnarly, yeah. And my dad had to come pick me up, which was gnarly too. About an hour outside of St. Louis. And that next morning, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And I had been to like outpatients and kind of tried to sober up multiple times in my 20s, and nothing ever stuck. But this time I was like, I need to just, I think I really just wanted to take a vacation from where my life was at. This relationship was ending. I had just like scared the shit out of all of my closest friends who like don't have substance abuse problems in a very public manner. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back to Sierra Tucson for a detox, but I'm only going for 15 days because I got to get back to work. And I went back to Sierra Tucson, detoxed. I showed up there, like blew a .43. I went missing for 6 hours in LA on my layover. It was like a really gnarly scene. And I was telling myself it's going to be like my last hurrah. And I come back from that treatment spell. Girlfriend had left. So I come back to like an empty townhouse. And yeah, I like made it. That was the first time I got sober off resentment because I'm like, she left me, I'm gonna show her. And so I lost a bunch of weight. I did this crazy shit like where I would like starve myself and eat like a whole bag of sugar-free Reese's at night and like go to the gym and just sit and smoke weed and take my Xanax. Cause I would tell them at the treatment program, like, look, I got a problem with alcohol and I got a problem with cocaine, but weed is not my problem. It's my medicine. And I'm going to take my Xanax because I have anxiety, right? I take it as prescribed at this point. I'm like skipping morning doses to double and triple up at night, you know? But I'm taking it as prescribed. You guys don't get it. It's from a doctor, like you were saying.
Yeah, it's from a doctor.
Yeah, it's like, this is my medicine. So I lost all this weight, got sober off of resentment. I didn't drink or do blow for 4 months. And God rest her soul, I had this very sweet grandmother who she lived in Newport, Rhode Island in the summers. And it was like a tradition where all of her grandkids would go up and they'd stay a week with her. And she was the sweetest old Jewish lady. Like Sue was the best. And I hadn't drank for like 4 months, and she was like, and she had known I'd gone in and out of treatment and really been there for me through these tough times. And most of the family's like, John, you shouldn't go. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a good scene for you there. And she was like, no, he's going to come. And so I went and I didn't drink for like the first 2 days, but then I was like, oh, like what's the problem with just like a beer at the bar? I want to go out and meet people. And there's this huge party street in Newport, Rhode Island, where all these kids get off of their yachts with their super rich families and they like go out and they're drinking. And I would always go down there and like want to hang out and meet people, maybe find a girl. Like, you know, it was like I wanted to, like, I could be whoever I wanted to be because nobody knew me. It was like the best thing for an alcoholic. And I went down there and then I went missing for 2 days. I got into a complete blackout, met this, like, I was 27 at the time, met this like woman in her 40s who I went on this like escapade with, and we like took a ferry to Providence. We were holed up in a hotel, and I had a buddy there who sold blow, who like lived in Providence, and I just went missing. And I showed back up to my grandmother's house, and she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And like I still remember the look on her face.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even talk to her. I was like, I'm getting on a plane and going home, bye. And I got an Uber and I went to a hotel. And I just like sat with what had happened. Like at this point, that 45-year-old chick ditches me. She's supposed to meet me at the hotel. And I'm just sitting there by myself, and I just take a bunch of Xanax, and I'm like, I just got to get on a plane and get back home. That scared me into another spell of like, okay, 2 months, no more drinking. I'm going to cut it out. And then I got the grand idea that I'm going to go to a music festival because now I'm newly single. I want to get back into the DJing lifestyle. I'm not going to drink, but I just want to go to a music festival. And that kind of kick-started the next year, which I burned my life completely to the ground before I got sober.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I just like, it was my best thinking at the time. You know, it was like, I desperately wanted community. I desperately wanted attention. I wanted to be a good person, but I had no tools to do any of that, you know?
No, for sure. So then you get back home, and now you're on this year of Bright Idea.
Yeah, so what that kind of looked like was I go to this music festival, I tear a tendon in my ankle because I get so fucked up that like I crack it, and then I walk around high on ketamine and coke for 3 days. I went to the med tent there, and they're like, dude, you need to go to the fucking hospital. I'm like, well, what are they going to do for me? They're like, well, they're going to tell you not to be on your foot, but you can't come back here. And I was like, nah, I'll just power through it. And so my ankle's like this big, and there's like pictures of me like tromping around all fucked up on it. It was pretty gnarly. And all my friends are like, what is wrong with you, dude? And I come back and I'm like, okay, this is just my lifestyle again. Like I'll be able to manage it, you know? And I ended up kind of shacking up with one of my long-term friends who had just gotten out of a relationship, and we're still friends, and it wasn't like a bad situation, but my use got really, really crazy where I was going on these 3-4 day coke benders and drinking into oblivion. And that led to, in the span of a week, I caught 2 charges. One of them I don't really like speak about because it's just like something that's not completely tied up. It's like part of the thing is like I can't speak about it, and it's nothing like super heinous. So, but it's just I got a gnarly DUI where I could have like hurt 4 people in my car. Got arrested for that. Next day was like, okay, I'm never gonna drink again. Had my buddy pick me up from the impound lot because I had to sneak into the impound lot to get my bottle of Xanax out of the car the next day. Had to like lie to them saying I had this medication I needed. Told him in the car, it's the same buddy who's been my best friend forever, and he's like, dude, you got to cut this shit out. And I was like, yeah, I can never drink again. And it was a 30-minute drive from the impound lot back to my townhouse, and we're pulling into my townhouse. He's like, John, can we stop anywhere? You don't have a car? Do you need like snacks or anything for your house? And I was like, dude, this is going to sound really bad, but I need a drink. And we went to the bar and I started drinking again. And that was like, that's where I was, is like, I didn't have any tools for dealing with where my life was at besides alcohol. I had to numb out. Like, I'm like, okay, I might go to fucking prison. Like, I got to go see a lawyer tomorrow. Like, I can't face life like this. And so I got drunk again, and then a few weeks later, something else happens where now I'm being like investigated, and it's like a whole crazy thing where, and it's a situation I normally never would have got myself in, and shit's just getting really crazy, but I can't stop using because all of this is too much. I'm like, I'm going to go to fucking jail. And the next few months of my life looked like me cleaning up for a little bit. And then, you know, I'd inevitably want to be social again, and I'd go out and use and like kick myself into cocaine psychosis. And it just got really, really fucking dark. And the girl that I was like kind of seeing moved away. So now I'm like kind of isolated. I would go through those periods where I'm like sobered up for a month, start doing really good at work. I'm making a ton of sales at my job, like money's starting to come in. Then I want to be social, go out, burn it to the ground over the course of like 5 days. And then something pretty traumatic happened where I had a buddy who died in a freak accident, and he was my first friend ever. Like, we were friends in preschool. And we hadn't spoken in years, and he passed away. And at this time too, I'm also like DJing all the time. I got booked to play this big music festival in Arkansas. Like, things in that realm were picking up. But when he passed away, his funeral was the same weekend as this music festival I was supposed to play. And I chose to go to his funeral, and I just like drank my way through it. And it really jarred me because he, not one of us, just random freak thing happened and passed away. And that's where shit, like, that scared me straight for a little bit after the funeral. I'm like, okay, like, I just need to clean up my life. Like, this isn't worth it. I can't live like this anymore. But I was stuck between a rock and a hard place because it was like, I couldn't swear off and admit that I was an alcoholic and an addict. I just wanted to drink like a normal person. So I always had that like, well, I'm just going to like get enough sober time to where I can like have a beer, even though I have all of the evidence that I need, that it's like, that just doesn't work. But I couldn't see that. There was blinders on, you know? I like did the same thing where I like sobered up over the summer, went to go see grandma in Newport, Rhode Island. Same thing again. It's like 2 years later, or a year later at this point. And I go out there, and she's like, I want you to have fun. I want you to go to this jazz festival. Like, I got you tickets for it. And she's in her 80s at this point. So like, she's like, I want you to go have fun. And I remember talking to her, and it's the night before the festival, and she's like, John, can't you just have one glass of wine with me? And like, I told her, I'm like, no, like, if I have one, I'm going to want more. Like, I can't. She didn't really understand addiction, right? She would have like a glass of Pinot Grigio every night. And it was a complete fucking normie. It's like, no, I want to go like rip shots and find drugs after I get a little Pinot Grigio in me. And I say that to her, and I don't drink that night. But the next day I'm walking down to go catch this ferry to this festival, and the thought pops in like, well, what's a White Claw? You know, like, I'll go grab like a White Claw. And then I go into the liquor store, I grab a tall boy White Claw to, you know, brown paper bag and drink while I'm going down there.
Not the standard size.
You got to get the tall boy.
The tall
right?
boy.
Yeah. And I walk out of that liquor store, and the thought pops in, well, I got to get a few shots of Fireball or a few shots of vodka. I think it was Pink Whitney vodka is actually what I drank. But I go back in and I get a few airplane shots, and I woke up the next morning with blood on my hands. My shirt was completely ripped. Had no idea how I got back to grandma's house. I walk out into like the little like foyer breakfast area she has at her house, and she looked like she had seen a ghost. And she's like, what happened to you? And I remember just like it all started to kind of come back. Like I had like a nice little like cherry on my face. Like I definitely got in a fight with somebody, but like I blacked out so hard. Like I could have killed someone and not have known, you know. It was like really, really fucking crazy. And I walk out there and I have this, that was my first moment of willingness. Like that window opened up and I was like, I can't live this way anymore. Like, Sue, I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, you've been to treatment. Like that doesn't work. Like what else can you do? And during that summer, the best I could do, I couldn't get to a meeting. I went to one NA meeting with one of my buddies who has like, I think almost 10 years now sober off of heroin.
Oh, wow.
And like, I identified, right? But like, I didn't want to be a part of the club.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was like, I went and then I was like, yeah, I'll hit another one, never hit him up again.
Mm-hmm.
But I started listening to a sobriety podcast and it was, do you guys know Barstool Sports Network?
Yeah.
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 So Jersey Jerry, one of their personalities, used to have a podcast called Friend of Jerry, which play on Friend of Bill, right? And he would have these different treatment professionals and people who had gotten sober on. And that was the best I could do to stay tied to recovery, was like, I would listen to this podcast when I was walking my dog or like when I wasn't drinking.
Sure.
And I would hear these stories and I'm like, okay, maybe me too. And I don't know what it was, but I had this moment when I'm talking with my grandma about like, I got to do something different. I remember there was this interventionist named Bob Merrier. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's from Canada. He came on the podcast and he was talking about sober coaching. And he was the sober coach for the mayor of Toronto, Rob Ford, when he was smoking crack. And he had like a Vice News documentary done on him because like, who's this guy who's just with the mayor of Toronto all the time? Who's a sober coach. And I was like, I need to call him. And so I called this 1-800 number, and this was like the first God shot of my sobriety. And his call center was down. So it goes to his cell phone and he picks up. And I'm like snot crying in the phone. I'm like, oh, I heard Bob Merrier on a podcast. And he's like, yo, chill out. Like, this is Bob. Like, tell me what's going on. We talk for about an hour and he doesn't take a single cent from me. And he's like, you need to call this dude in California, Chris Howard, who owns Ethos Sober Living. Your problem, because I told him, I remember this was the first sobering moment where I was like, holy shit, people can talk to you like this in recovery. But I was like, Bob, my problem is I can get 3 or 4 months sober, but then I always go back. And he goes, shut the fuck up. You've never drawn a sober breath in your life. You know how to be abstinent. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, oh shit, I have never been sober. And at the time I didn't know about the difference between physical sobriety and emotional sobriety and all these different concepts. But it woke me up because I'm like, this dude's supposed to be a treatment professional. He's
not supposed to talk to you
yeah,
like that.
right? Like, what the fuck? Like, even though I'm not paying him for any of this, he's
totally.
just like giving me some knowledge, you know? And I was like, I want what that dude has. Like, that's some real fucking recovery, you know?
This episode is brought to you by Wolfpack Bags. This gear is meant for anybody gym, lifestyle, to anybody that's on the move. I mean, I like to say that us here and everybody that tunes in, we're not average, we're always a wolf. They have all the goods that you need, especially for anybody that is looking for a bag to carry their meal prep, a lunch pail, anything like that. They have you covered. So once again, go to wolfpack.com, use the code Hopeaholics, save 10%, and join the pack.
And he linked me with Chris Howard at Ethos, and he's like, your problem is you don't need treatment again. You need to learn how to live sober. So you need to go to a sober living. And Ethos super highly structured sober living, which I didn't really know what those were at the time. And Chris like hears that I've been on Xanax forever. He's like, you need to go to detox. Like, we can't just take you into sober living. Like, you're living fucking gnarly, bro. You could die.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. And so he referred me to Refine Recovery, which is where I work now today. And I went there. I was a client there for 45 days. I went to sober living after. You know, I had some kicking and screaming getting in. Like, I stayed with my parents for a week and didn't drink. And then I dropped the dog off I was telling you about and like manipulated my dad. I'm like, yeah, I got to go back to my townhouse and pack some shit. Didn't even go there. Went to the bar, had this whole emotional blow up. My buddy had to come over, who I was telling you about, the guy I've been friends with forever. He had to stay on my couch, wrestle alcohol out of my hands. And they had a sober escort fucking bring me to treatment, which was an ego blow at 29 years old, having a grown man have to walk me through the airport. But that was like the first time I accepted the humble pie. I'm like, all right, this is just where I'm fucking at. And yeah, that started my recovery journey, and I haven't used since. So
God.
my last drink or drug was this sober guy was like, you're not going to drink. Like, you have Xanax, so you don't need to drink. You're not going to go in withdrawal. You know, you basically can maintain till you get there. And I had this, he picked me up at 4 a.m, and I had this bottle of like 2,000 milligrams of THC tincture. And I was like freaking out. Like, I'm not going to get a last drink. And I just chugged this whole bottle of THC. And that was my last drink or drug. And went into treatment. And, you know, the rest is kind of history. You know, my life completely fucking changed.
What do you think was so different about that last little go round? Because there's so many things listening to your story leading up to the last run. There's like multiple things that have happened that you would think would snap you in, or like you said, you know, you were able to abstain for X amount of months. But this last one, what do you think was so different about it? Because it's just another blackout that you wake up to, and this one, for whatever reason.
I think so. It was a few things, like the look on my grandmother's face,
Sure.
somebody who had loved me throughout my addiction. That second time, every single member of our family called her and was like, John should not come there. He's a fucking liability. And she's like, no, he's my grandson. Like, I want to spend time with him. She was getting older. And the most beautiful thing that happened with that experience was after I had that blackout, I still had 5 more days in Rhode Island with her.
Oh,
and I didn't drink the whole time. And I was present with her in a way that I had never been before. Like, since I was a kid, right? Because my whole thing was like, we hang out during the day. She did puppet shows. We go to a puppet show, go to like a museum or a play or some shit. And then at night, I'm itching to get to the bar, right? And then the next day I'm hungover, and I got to spend a bunch of time with her, and we really talked about life and what I wanted out of life. And, you know, I love the quote in the big book where it's like, I had been beaten into a state of reasonableness. I realized finally that my way didn't work, and I was going to die. I was damned if I did, and I was damned if I didn't, right? I thought that at that time, if I don't change something in my life and I just stop drinking, I'm going to kill myself because I'm not happy, right? I was super depressed. But if I keep drinking and using the way I'm either going to go to jail for the rest of my life. I'm going to do something crazy in a blackout, or I'm going to die. Like, and I think that was that jumping off place for me, where my back was truly against a wall and I was willing to fucking listen to somebody else, like Bob. Before, I'm such an egotistical dude, and I have examples in my life of how my will gets me where I want to be. I always had a good job. I made good money. But with this one thing, like, I can't get myself unfucked. Like, I've fucked myself. I can't get myself unfucked. And that was the realization that changed my life. And then I really, you know, I'm a big higher power guy. Like, I wasn't before at all. You know, I think I always thought that there was something out there, but he didn't want the best for me, you know? And when I started getting out of my own way and seeing the way that like God was helping me, it was just like, it made sense to just keep doing the next thing in front of me instead of trying to like play life like it was a game of chess. Instead, I made it checkers. Like, you get the double jump every once in a while, but it's one move at a time, instead of like, if I do this, then this will happen, and then I'll get where I want to be. And there was a relief that came when I made that decision. Like, I felt at peace for the first time. Like, I wasn't running the show anymore. Like, it's not all on my shoulders. And yeah, I think that a lot of people have that moment, right? Where they're like, I will do anything to get sober. And then they go into a treatment program and then they wrestle their will back.
Sure.
Something happened to me where I just didn't do that. I just took suggestion. And that's what I tell our clients when they come in. Is like, look, like, I see you guys on day 1. You guys are all ready to do whatever it takes to stay sober. But by day 5, you're like, the food here sucks. And like, you know, I fucking hate meetings.
I've already gotten everything I can get out of this.
Yeah.
The meetings are repetitive.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, once you start to physically feel better, you think you know some shit again. And I remained teachable. I was like, I don't know shit on how to stay sober. And really, that's how I live my life every single day now. It's like, I have to let something else direct my thinking. Because granted, I'm pretty far away removed from like picking up a drink or a drug when I'm like restless, irritable, and discontent. But my emotional thinking is completely fucked up. I start acting out. I treat my girlfriend like shit. I'm snippy. Like, and it's just so much easier when you let something else direct your life, you know?
It really is. It's so true. Where it's like all the cliches are so true.
And I hated
I know.
those.
So did I.
Fucking hated
I
the
know,
cliches when I
but
got
now
sober,
I'm the person that says them.
For sure.
Because they're fucking true. Like, it is such the program is quite simple.
Simple for complicated people, right? Another cliche that I fucking hate. But it's like, we're all complicated.
Or like, easy does it. It's like, no shit.
One day at a time.
Thanks.
Like, duh, no shit. It's one day at a time. But really, it's like, even with a few years sober, it's like, if I start tripping out about what's going to happen 2 weeks from now, like, I become a different version of myself that I don't like. And yeah, I think for me, like, I thought before, do you guys know who Ryan Holiday is?
Yeah, I love him.
So he has this little bit. I show it to our clients all the time whenever I like lead group at our facility, but he has this video on sobriety and how stoicism relates. And he talks about how there's this common misconception, even with physical therapy. So if you go to a physical rehab, like for my ankle injury, I had to go do PT after. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go there. They're going to fix my ankle. In reality, they just give you a bunch of shit that you have to do when you go home, exercises, shit that's uncomfortable. And if you don't do it, your ankle's going to be fucked. And shocker, I didn't do any of the PT stuff.
Sure.
My ankle's still shot today. It's the same thing with substance abuse treatment. People think they come in, they're going to go for 30 days. They're going to fix you, and then you can go back to your life as normal. The reality is treatment just gives you a bunch of shit that you have to do every day for the rest of your life to stay sober. So it's like this common misconception I love. I'm stealing that quote from him, but I tell people that all the time. It's like, there's no magic fix. And I used to think that's how it was. I'm like, I'm going to go to treatment. They're going to do their woo-woo magic on me, and then I'm going to be sober.
Healed.
Yeah.
I'm going to be healed and fixed.
And then I could drink again.
Yeah, exactly. Then I can just have a beer. And I repeated that cycle for fucking 12 years of my life, you know? And yeah, that's just remaining teachable has been what's like been the best thing for me in sobriety, you know? And it's tough to try and like sell that to somebody, because really like what we do in treatment is we're trying to sell you on a better life. Like if you do these things, your life will improve and you're not going to feel this way anymore. But trying to like bottle that and give it to somebody is really tough. And I think for me, I had to be beaten into that state of reasonableness where I'm like, my way just doesn't fucking work. And it sucks when you see people come in, even to meetings, treatment, and you can see in their eyes that they have some fight left in them. For me, I had just lost my will to fight this thing anymore. Like I finally surrendered, and I was very good at being compliant, but the difference between compliance and surrender is peace. Like once I finally surrendered, I felt at peace for the first time in my life. And like, it's not everybody's story, but I had been on some sort of medication since I was 12.
Yeah.
I take no meds now, and I feel fucking amazing. Granted, antidepressants help a lot of people. Like I've been depressed too. I've been on every one underneath the sun, but something happened to me this time where I got sober. I got off Xanax. I don't have anxiety anymore. And you know, Chris used to say this to me, and it's like people in earlier recovery are like, I'm depressed. And it's like, no shit. Like your life fucking sucks. Like, yeah, your life is shitty. Like, of course you're fucking depressed. And it was just my experience that I started doing things. I worked the steps. I got very involved in AA, and my life just took off. And I had no plans to work in treatment. I think most of us don't. We don't get sober and we're like, yeah, I want to work in treatment. I fell ass backwards into it by doing alumni panels at the program I went to. And they were like, I was looking for like a tech sales job. Like I wanted to count my money and be like, fuck you guys. You know, I'm sober now. Like I'm gonna get a Lamborghini and shit. And that's not what happened. I don't have a Lamborghini, but they were like, you should there we go. But they were like, you should try working here as a tech. Like, we think you could really help the clients. And I did that for like 8 months. And then I went to them like, look, guys, I really need a 9 to 5. Like, I'm kind of burnt out on the tech thing. And they created a position for me. I developed our whole alumni program. And I built like the alumni program I wish I had when I was first an alumni. And that has been one of the biggest joys of my life. I mean, sometimes I'm also an admissions rep for us. So sometimes I'm the first call. And then I get to talk to people when they get a year sober after. And it's just like, holy fuck. Like, how am I in this position where I have anything to give to anyone, right? And for me, I'm not a clinician. So, like, my experience is the best thing that I have to give. It's like, look, this is what happened to me over the course of 12 years, right? And yeah, like, today, life's fucking awesome. Like, it's not the life that I envisioned for myself, but I'm like, somebody said something, it might have been my sponsor, but early in recovery, like I felt like a fish out of water, as most of us do. Life quiets down, and we're used to that chaos when we're drinking and using, you know? And he told me, he was like, the absence of chaos is just peace, but peace is uncomfortable for you right now. So you have to find a way to live in peace. And that's how I feel today. Like my life, it's chaotic in a different way. Work's busy, you know, I'm more involved in my family. My relationship with my parents is better than it's ever been. I'm in a happy relationship, and that's like chaotic in its own sense, but I'm at peace. It's not like having multiple legal charges, thinking that I'm going to jail, or waking up the next day like, oh fuck, what text did I send last night? How did I make an asshole out of myself?
Or what did I do? Where
exactly.
did I go?
Yeah, the blackout shit was scary.
Yeah.
Like, were either of you guys blackout?
Oh yeah,
blackout drinkers? Yeah, it's fucked up.
Fucked up. It is fucked up, especially when like how many occasions of just like waking up, whether it's my place or friend's place or wherever, and I'm like, how'd I even fucking get here?
Yeah,
and my car's literally like out front somewhere.
Yeah,
you know, where I'm like.
Before Apple Maps like developed the parked car feature, I would wake up sometimes, and I would wake up at my townhouse out in the county, and then go outside and my car wouldn't be there because I went to someone's house and partied in their kitchen until 4 a.m. and left my fucking car there. And then Ubered back home because I was too fucked up to drive. And like now it's like a 2-day mission to find my car. Like how fucking insane is that, you know? Like
You're literally the movie, dude, where's my car?
yeah, exactly. And I was that stupid at the time too, you know?
That was before we didn't have Uber when I was out
when you were
gallivanting.
using
Yeah. So
Uber was the thing at the end. I remember there was one time like I got stuck at this EDM show and I was on like a bunch of ecstasy and I was with my girlfriend at the time and we tried to call a cab, and cabs in St. Louis, it's like a 50-50 shot if they show up. And I had to like sit on a street corner for 4 hours, like sitting there just like doing ketamine and then like getting in a fucking cab. It's just like the crazy mental gymnastics we go through when we're in addiction just to keep up that shitty lifestyle is insane, you know? But it's the only thing we know. Like it's fucking nuts.
it is. It's like really, really crazy.
Yeah.
How is it with like what do your parents think now?
So my mom never faltered. She's still just like, oh, I love my son. He's great. You know, with my dad, it was a little rocky at first because he had moved me out of apartments. He had to help me pack up my townhouse in Missouri when I came out here for sober living. And so it was rocky at first. He didn't have evidence that I was going to do anything different this time, you know? But we've built an awesome relationship today. He said something to me. I had to make an amends to him when I was 16 years old. If any of you guys know college basketball, Mizzou and Kansas is like the biggest fucking rivalry for people where I'm from. And he bought me tickets for Christmas to a Mizzou Kansas game. And at the time, my best thinking was, no, my dad got me these tickets. I'm going to take my high school girlfriend with me and not him. And so Mizzou ended up winning with a buzzer beater at the last second.
Oh,
It hadn't been
shit.
Kansas. It was like you could never recreate this game. And I knew that was really hard for him. It was like right when I was like getting bad in my addiction. So fast forward to last year, I'm talking with my sponsor. I'm like, how can I make this right? Like it eats me up inside.
Sure.
Sometimes I'll watch college basketball and be like, I'm such a piece of shit,
Yeah.
you know? And he's like, well, find a game, buy him tickets and take them. And so we went to Mizzou, South Carolina football game, and he had a fucking blast. He hadn't been in years. And we're leaving the game and we're driving down this highway and I look over and I'm like, oh shit, like Dad, that's where I got arrested for my first DUI. And he just like, my dad's a man of few words. Like he's very supportive, but he's from Southern Missouri, you know? And he's just like, you know, John, it's crazy. I don't have to go to sleep anymore wondering if you're going to be dead or in jail. And that's like the gift that I've gotten from fucking being sober,
For sure.
you know? But yeah, the first year I could tell they're getting a little close to me to smell my breath when I
Sure.
come back and visit, and like rightfully so.
For
Like,
sure.
I had to earn that trust back, you know, and yeah, I mean, there's been some losses in sobriety too, like that grandmother who I love so much. 2 days before, or not 2 days, probably 4 or 5 days before I got a year sober, she passed away in her sleep, and so I never got to see her sober again. The last she saw me not using for like 4 days, but she never got to see me sober. And I flew back and buried her and then came back out here and had my year birthday party in the same day. But, you know, sometimes things don't go our way, but I was able to walk through that before. Like I would drink my way through everything.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle loss, you know? And, yeah, my relationship with my birth mom's awesome today. Like that's a crazy thing that I never thought that I'd be able to show up for. And yeah, my life is super balanced. Like I think that's the piece that, when we first get sober, it's usually not like, I want to improve my family relations.
Right.
It's like, I just don't want to die. Right. And that's a byproduct of like doing the work, is like, we really get to improve the lives of everybody who loves us. And that's the shit that you can't sell to somebody when they're new in treatment. But it's like, that's the biggest gift that I've gotten is people don't worry about me anymore. Now I get to show up for other people. Like, my mom got cancer when I was in addiction, living in NorCal, and I didn't even think about flying back to go help.
Wow.
Like I couldn't, it just, I couldn't show up, right? Now my dad's getting a hip replacement next week. My mom had like a minor eye surgery, and I get to like insert myself in their lives and take care of my parents. Like,
awesome.
And that's a fucking rare thing, you know?
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's like the gifts
Yeah.
that we get.
I didn't want that shit when I got newly
No, of
sober.
course.
I wanted that Lamborghini and to fucking like not feel like I was dying all the time.
Yeah.
you know.
Or get out of like legal problems.
Yeah,
or
not go to
whatever.
prison.
Yeah.
I'm not cut out for fucking jail. Which is crazy because like I was living like I wanted to go to prison. And even when the consequences had stacked up, like I couldn't, like that's not enough to get me sober.
Right.
Like the fear of death, really what it was the fear of like living like this forever.
Yeah.
Like my girlfriend has a shtick where she's sober, she's got 10 years. And when she went to a treatment program one time, this tech pulled her aside and was like, "You've got the curse." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You're not going to die from this." Like she was an IV user. She's like, "You're not going to die from this. You're cursed to live with this forever." And that's how I fucking felt. Like some people
that's
overdose.
fucking misery.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, I think a lot of us drink and use the way we do because we don't care about living or dying. But to have to live with that shit, to be like in your 60s as an IV drug, you're fucking insane, miserable, you know?
And then always in your subconscious, you know that you're not living your life to your fullest potential too.
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
Like, it comes to a point, at one point in time, yeah, it's always going to be a little bit fun, a little bit whatever at the very beginning. But then when it stops, then it's like something clicks in all of our brains where we know that we shouldn't be doing what we are doing, yet we cannot stop doing what we're doing. And that's where the misery really kicks in. Because it's like that constant battle with the voices in your head of like, why can't I fucking stop? But then I fucking need it. And then it's this like terrible.
We're at war with ourselves when we're like that.
Daily.
And like, it's a whole, like I had like a personality disorder. When I woke up sober, I didn't know who the fuck I was.
Right.
Like I thought I had my identity wrapped up in this like DJ guy, party guy lifestyle. And I actually got to do something cool a few months ago where one of the buddies I started that promotion company with, me and my other buddy actually ended up firing him from our company, which was a huge mistake. He's still one of my best friends to this day. But he started his own thing that took off, and now he's one of the biggest music promoters in the Midwest.
God.
And
He's like, fuck you
yeah,
guys.
right. But we've always been
Yeah,
homies, right?
yeah.
And like he would book me for shows, but he hit me up and he's like, "Yo, dude, we do this event called First One's Free," which is like a play on drug culture, which is kind of ironic. But he's like, "We pick a local charity every month. We get like 2,000 people who come, and we pick a local charity and donate proceeds. It's a free show to a local charity. I want you to pick a recovery charity, and I want you to headline it on your birthday." So in April, I played my first show ever without any substances, and it was fucking electric. It was so cool. And I was like shaking like a leaf before I went on, because it used to be like, throw a few shots back. I've got some powder and liquid courage. And it was really cool. I got to like, talk a little bit on the mic about mental health and hearing like the crowd reaction to that. And it's just crazy. It's like usually what we think is going to happen when we get sober is we are going to strip away the best parts of ourselves, right? Like, and really all it did was strip away the bad shit and amplify the good stuff, I'm super grateful for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Good for you. And you have a podcast as well, right?
Yeah. So back in like December, Refine, the spot that I work for, was like, "Dude, we think you'd be great having a podcast." I just love to hear myself talk, It's the alcoholic addict thing.
You're like Chad.
Yeah.
That's why he likes the headphones. The whole get down.
For
he just wants to
sure.
hear
You
himself.
can hear it, man.
Yeah.
You can hear yourself.
Yeah, the headphones are something I want to incorporate too, but it started out as something that I didn't think was going to be very big. It was just kind of like a way for me to have people who have been important in my recovery on. And I mean, we haven't like blown up yet, but we're starting to get some traction. We've had some really cool guests, and more important than any of that is that on the few clips we've had that have gone viral, right? Thousands of people in the comments are reaching out for help. And then I give them my personal cell, like my work cell phone, like, "Yo, if you need some help, give me a call." And we've gotten to help some people. And that's the most important thing, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I really was like torn between two worlds, and like, do I want to air all my shit out on the internet? Like even now, like talking about like, I'm a vulnerable person, but like sometimes I get it like, oh, like this isn't an AA meeting. Like it's not confidential, you know? Even telling my story about like, oh, getting arrested and having some charges. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, what if this bites me in the ass? But the reality is somebody might have been in that exact same situation, and they hear something and they're like, they identify. And in this day and age, like most people consume their media on their phone, right? And that's how I got sober, was through a fucking podcast this time. I was listening to a podcast. I heard something that resonated with me. I called the dude from the podcast, and my life fucking changed. And so when people are like, you should be attraction rather than promotion, I think that's complete fucking bullshit, and they should go fuck themselves.
But also, it is attraction, because it's like
I mean,
we're not promoting.
No, not at all. We're just telling stories.
Is
Like,
that-
Telling
that's
stories,
it.
man. And if you think they're attractive, come on, give us a shout out. Otherwise, keep moving.
100%. And it's just like crazy because even like a lot of my buddies in AA and different recovery circles, like they give me shit for it, right? But it's like the feeling I get when somebody's like, thank you so much. We even had a guy who reached out to me and he ended up like getting sober on his own and going to AA, which is fucking amazing. But he texts me every month. He's like, thank you so much for doing that podcast. Like you saved my fucking life. And all I did was tell my fucking story.
That's it. You're
like,
not telling anybody else's. You're telling yours. That's the only time that I think that there's a ground to stand on for people that have like an opinion about recovery podcasts or people talking about recovery or treatment or anything like that, is that if somebody is talking about somebody else's story that is not present, then that's a problem. But we're all talking about ourselves and our fuck ups and our like being vulnerable, which I see nothing wrong with. At the very beginning, I had to like go through kind of like not jump the hoops, but with my sponsor too, because it was like this big thing, because it was in 2013 when I came public and it was on a reality show, but it wasn't really anything really like AA related. It was just letting who I worked with know that I was in recovery and that I was an addict. But even that was like, maybe you shouldn't. She was like, I need to talk to my sponsor, all this like crazy things. Obviously it worked out for the best, but I think it's like so important because there's so many people that are dying in silence, and we live in such a era where we do have social media. We do have, everybody has like their voice. And so if we're not utilizing it, and also if somebody listens to your podcast, they actually can call and get into treatment. You work at a facility. It's like, that is a win-win.
Yeah, we want to have a solution for people, right? And even if it's like not treatment and you just need somebody to talk to, or like a voice of reason, right? That's what I needed. There was one dude who took the time, who didn't charge me a fucking cent and didn't ask me what my insurance policy was. He was just like, look, dude, your plan's fucked up. Go to sober living, change your fucking life. And I listened, And I think in this day and age, like we're such social media creatures.
Totally.
Everybody's like, and with social media, people present the best version of themselves. It's all bullshit. And in these recovery podcasts, we're presenting the worst version of ourselves, so you can identify with it and then maybe change your life, which is like such a difference from what we normally consume. Yeah.
I think it's cool. I mean, I definitely, I understand, other people's opinions, I guess, but that's theirs, and that's okay. And that's why we live in America. We're able to have different opportunities and do different things.
For sure.
And if it's not good for somebody else, that's okay.
Yeah, you get to choose what you consume
100%.
too. You can always dislike the post. And it's funny too, because I see people, like, it's mainly on like YouTube shorts. I'll post clips. People go out of their way to dislike
which
podcasts.
Is insane.
Like,
which I think that is like, I think it's funny and also sad at the same time, because like if individuals out there are going out of their way to negatively comment on a short or a reel or whatever the post or the clip is off of somebody talking about something positive, is mind-boggling.
I had this TikTok post go like a little viral. It got under 1 million views, but I was basically saying if you drink alcohol in airplane bottles, you're an alcoholic, because like normal people buy a fifth, they leave it on the shelf, right? And that's how I would drink. Like I would try and ration
Towards the
that
end,
way.
that's how I was too,
for sure. And the comments were a mixture of, oh wow, so good for you getting sober, or you only drink a fifth, you fucking bitch. Like it was like insane. And I was just like, the internet's such a crazy place where I would just be like, cool story, bro, weird flex. Like, okay, you drink like a handle, if you need help, give me a call. But it's like, we live in a society where people want to break people down because of their own insecurities, right? And by being vulnerable, like it's the whole Brene Brown thing, right? Like we have shame, you're vulnerable, and that leads to healing your shame, right? And sometimes just like telling somebody else what's going on, that was a big, powerful thing for me in sobriety. Was I started having these experiences, like the same with like a fifth step, right? Like I read to somebody else, I'm like, holy shit, my sponsor's laughing at me for this heinous shit that I did.
Right.
Like, oh, other people do this too. And so that like, that interaction with people, whether it's on the internet or just like airing some stuff out and seeing what happens, it like allows me to not be shameful of my past, because it might help somebody, you know?
Definitely. And it's also healing to open those kind of monsters that we used to keep kind of tucked away and hidden.
For sure.
also.
When you give something so much attention,
Exactly.
like I don't want to say this, but out of fear of like being judged,
Right.
it gives it more power. To where if you
100%.
just say it, it deflates the whole thing, you know? Like I had this house of cards stacked up before I got sober. I'm like, nobody can know any of this shit,
Yeah.
you know? And now it's like,
I'm taking this to the grave.
yeah, right. Now I talk about it all on
Yeah, me too.
podcasts, and like I really don't give a fuck what other people think. And being somebody who always cared about what
Yeah.
other people thought of me, now it's just like I have so much peace where it's like, look, your opinion's your opinion, right? And that's like one of the blessings of like the emotional shift we get in sobriety. Like it's crazy because now having a few years and even seeing like alumni who have came through our program, I see how they are on day one. And then when they take a year cake, they're like a different fucking person. You know, it's a different human being. You know, I can only imagine how their families feel, you
Right.
know? It's
I know.
insane.
It is. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. Fucking what you guys do is amazing. You know, like at the forefront of this thing.
Likewise, you're doing the same
yeah,
thing. You know,
appreciate
you're
it.
spreading the message, and you're like boots on the ground, literally.
Yeah.
Like helping people maintain, because I think that's so important too. Is like treatment is great, but if people aren't staying connected, it only does so much.
It's even what I say in our alumni program is like, look, I would rather you call me before you drink than after, because if we can talk about it before you drink. Like once you've made the decision, you know, it's not that there's nothing I can do for you, but the options get a little bit more intense and severe, right? Like,
And the guilt and the shame and
For
all
sure.
of that weighs so much more heavy, especially if it's not your first rodeo or if this is like a constant kind of thing and cycle. It's so much easier, I think, for yourself, for individuals, to just pick up the phone first.
and sometimes
before-
that phone can be fucking heavy though.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's tough, but yeah, I mean, anybody who's listening, like if you're struggling, like pick up the phone before it gets too bad. Which I know seems like counterintuitive, right? It's like, oh, I could just drink my way through this, I'll be fine. But it's like, if you just reach out first and get ahead of the thing, everything gets easier after that, you know? And it's dope that now this whole podcasting wave is allowing people like us to connect with a community that might feel isolated and alone. Like they're probably sitting in their bedroom, you know, like me. The best they can do, they can't get to a meeting, is listen to a podcast
Totally.
and look for a glimmer of hope, which is why the Hopeaholics name's fucking sick, you know? So
I love that, especially because look at all three of us suffer from the same exact problem, yet we're all different backgrounds. We look definitely very different. And so it's
The three of us?
Yeah.
No, we all look similar.
Huh?
We look similar.
I don't think so.
We all look similar.
I'm a female, but last time I checked. but you know, throwing that out there. But anyways, but you know what I
What's
mean.
your point?
My
What's your point?
is that it's important for like the recovery podcast, people talking about their own journey that are all different walks of life, because at the end of the day, this disease does not discriminate. So it's really important for other people to see what recovery looks like. It's not just what they show on television.
100%. It's pulling back the curtain,
That's
right?
it.
This is what life really is. And I mean, there's even podcasts out there where people like regurgitate the same bullshit and don't get really like honest and
Sure.
nitty gritty about it. But yeah, that's just all just a version of people putting out who they want to be seen as.
Sure.
Like I want people to hear something from my story or the guests I have on story
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, they did that same thing, I'm doing that too. Maybe I can be sober like them. You
Exactly.
know, it's a glimmer of hope,
That's
right?
it.
Yeah.
That's
all
all
we
you
need.
need.
Jinx, somebody owes somebody
Yeah,
a Coke there.
exactly.
Jinx.
You guys have been doing this a while, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Long
little.
time.
Yeah. How long has this podcast been on air?
A little bit over 3 years, 3.5 years.
So you guys were at like the beginning of people.
I mean,
was.
I say that we
I
were the
wasn't.
first, is what I tell people. We're the first of this kind.
Yeah.
We were and it wasn't intentional. I didn't get into this. I had zero intention of doing any of this, but my son-in-law died from fentanyl on 9/11 of 2022. And literally God told me to build a podcast. And so I did. Not even thinking I was ever going to do it. And then I did my first one, and it was terrible. It was with my daughter, though, who found Justin dead. And we didn't get to ever air that podcast because we forgot to turn the mics off on the camera, and we had dual mics, and
the scratch audio is mixing in.
The sound is just terrible. So,
well,
that was God's will as well too, you know.
That's a powerful story, and like I think that's the other piece too, is like when you talk about things like that affect a family, right? As being somebody in recovery who lost somebody to addiction, it also supports families too.
Totally.
Going through the same thing.
That was part of it. It's that. You know, it's the fact that, like, you know, I've worked in treatment for 25 years. I stuck a needle in my arm while working in treatment. You know, I understand, man. Like, probably more than most people, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially the relapse part, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand what it feels like to not even want to come back to the rooms.
And what you said is powerful too. Not a lot of people talk about that, about people who work in treatment who end up relapsing while they're in treatment. It's like a hidden thing in the industry, right? But it's a common story.
I don't like the industry. I do not like the addiction treatment industry.
Yeah,
it's the most pretentious, judgmental, and we're supposed to be loving, right? And they'll like kick you when you're down and talk shit behind your back and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I see your content all the time. I think you're going out and saying things that a lot of people are scared to say. Whether it's with insurance, how people are running their fucking programs, and it's a flawed industry, right?
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that the program I went to, like when I went to that giant program in Arizona, I had a pretty shitty experience the second time I went. Got bought out by new owners, wasn't the same thing.
It was really good before, when the original people owned it. It was one of the top in the country.
The first time I went, beautiful program. I took no advantage of like the resources I had because I was 18.
Yeah.
Second time I went, it was like a hospital ward. And then I got really lucky when I went to Refine. We were a 6-bed detox in Beverly Hills. It was literally the owners were in there every day interacting with clients. I didn't know shit like that existed.
Yeah.
I was used to like the Acadia Health, where it's like, oh, giant fucking umbrella, and you're just a number there. You never meet the person you do admissions with. Like, it was a completely...
Yeah, usually they're in Nashville. Well, if it was Acadia Health, their call center is usually in Nashville.
Yeah, but I think that's who owns here, Tucson now. Yeah. But yeah, it was like, for me, it gave me a little bit of hope in the industry that there's people out there who are doing things the right way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, in the right way. If somebody asks me what's the right way to do treatment, the right way to do treatment is to put the client first and do whatever it takes to help them, not more than them, but whatever you can.
Yeah, it's like, it's the same thing with sponsorship when I think about it. Like, I can't do more than my sponsees, but I can grab your hand and help carry you across the finish line. But you gotta be pumping those legs.
You gotta
too.
have some willingness. But in treatment, they might not have you. You get it. You work in treatment. Like, sometimes people come in, they don't have any willingness. And there's been so many times when the person who I thought was but had no chance is the person that's got 15 years.
It's
sober.
crazy.
It's like, I'm not even like kidding you.
Yeah.
You know, I remember this one chick in my early days, crazy girl. She came in with like pit bulls, and we had to get them somewhere. And this was back in the cash pay industry too, so things were a lot different. The girl went on to become like some type of crazy like MIT freaking engineer.
And had no hope at the beginning.
None.
Yeah. It's insane.
I would have been like zero chance.
Yeah. It's funny too. Sometimes the people who come in the most on fire, by the time they leave, I'm like, you're fucked. Because they'll be like, I'll ask them, and when I do a discharge meeting with every client that we have talking about our alumni program, like, yo, call me if something goes wrong. And I call and I do checkups with them. And I can tell when somebody's like, oh, I'm so excited to go home. Everything's going to be perfect. I'm like, you are fucked. Yeah. Like, if you don't have some anxiety or some
fear,
worry,
you know, like my biggest thing too is because you go home, like, it's easy to stay sober in treatment. It's easy to be, you know, doing your daily routine and being in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get home, it's hard because everything that happens in your disease is at home. All of the role that you play, all of the poking of the buttons and everybody knows everything about you.
Well, the other piece too is like, I feel like this is what I would always try and do. I go into treatment and I go back to the exact same shitty life that was leading me to drink and use. People want things in their life to change, but they don't want to change the things in their life, right? Like, I had to get very clear, like, okay, like I've added all this structure and I feel great in treatment. That has to continue when I go home. Yeah. And like you said, it's easy to be a good boy when you're in treatment. You got a meal ready for you at 8 a.m. and then groups at this time, and then you're going to the gym. But when the guardrails come off and it's just you and your disease, like, what are you going to fucking do about it? You know?
Shouldn't go home. To the truth be told, you shouldn't go home to the home that you came from for at least 6 months. And then that doesn't mean that you just go home and go back to the life. You need to go home and you need to do another 6 months of figuring it out and still being committed to so many other things.
The aftercare planning is the most important part of what you do at the residential level, right? Like, and that's what I remember. I used to laugh in the case managers' faces when I would go to treatment. They'd be like, yeah, you should go to Sober Living by the Sea was where they wanted me to go first. I'm like, I'm not fucking going there. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going back home. Like, you don't understand. Like, I know what's best for me. And yeah, it got me to the same place every single fucking time. 30 days of treatment is not nearly enough to build a life of sobriety.
Not even close.
And if people do come to treatment for 30 days and they want it, you better fucking go home and act like your life depends on it. Fucking #1 meeting guy in the fucking steps, doing IOP therapy, everything.
Yeah.
People do it, but it's rare. It
happens, but it is rare. I mean, like, the longer you stay, and we have a disease. It's like a traumatic brain injury, and it takes time for the brain to heal. It takes time for you to get into being able to make good conscious decisions and not like, I liked what you said in the beginning. You said something about, like, I hope everybody that comes to treatment out of ideas.
Yeah, with your tail tucked.
I call that the gift of desperation.
Yes, sir.
Is what I call it, you know. And but, like, you got to be out of ideas, man. And, like, the problem is you get 30 days of recovery and you start thinking that you can think again. And you can't.
No.
Your frontal lobe is not even fully recovered yet. I mean, it's not even close. It's like a year to 18 months before your frontal lobe is completely firing on all cylinders again.
Yeah, I mean, I made shitty decisions when I had 6-7 months sober that I didn't drink or use over. But like, my thinking's still not 100% correct. There's a reason I run by my life through God and through a million other channels before I make a serious decision.
You ever check with Chat GPT before you make a decision?
Nah, I'm worried about that AI psychosis, man. People be getting into that shit. I love Chat GPT for the utility of, like, organizing shit, but if I start having a conversation with it,
it's driving down the street and be like, bro, I'm thinking about going and doing something right now. What do you think about that?
Well, it's funny. I spoke on a podcast for an app called Sunflower Sober. Like, have you ever heard of them? So it's like a sobriety app, right? Like, they got a day counter on there and everything, but they have an AI sponsor on there. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, you should not be training people to go towards an AI sponsor, but, like, to take major life directions. But I will say what that thing does do for people is it gives them an initial voice to talk to, right? Like, but I think people with AI nowadays, just in general, like, they think it can run your entire life. Like, it cannot, you know. You got to have healthy balance and real people too. You know what I'm saying?
You definitely need real people in your life.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have a friend who his mom is, like, full-blown AI psychosis and thinks that she's having, like, regular conversations with, like, a human being who loves her. And,
shit.
Like, crazy
loves
shit.
her, huh?
Yeah. It's nuts. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of benefit to that stuff too, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, it was nice having you on the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me.
Down.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much.